Have you ever wanted to create a Minecraft island world like this? This is the Fellowship Island server map. My dream turned into a reality. For years, I dreamed of a world like this, a vast ocean dotted with islands, each unique and full of adventure. Inspired by classics like Zelda Wind Waker, Pirates of the Caribbean, and even One Piece, I wanted a real oceanic-based island map to explore, survive on, and play with my friends. Sound familiar? If you've clicked on this video, I've bet you've had this dream too. And guess what? I discovered the secret, making the impossible possible. And now I want to share that secret with you. The best part is, you can create this in vanilla Minecraft. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have a stunning oceanic survival world that you can share with your friends. Alright, before we start creating your all-island world, let's make sure you're properly equipped. I'm going to list everything you need on screen for easy reference, and don't worry, there are links to all of them in the description below. First, bookmark these handy sites, chunkbase.com, or any similar world viewer. This is your go-to tool for finding the perfect seed for your project. Then there's minecraftshapes.com, or another shape generator. This particular site is great for creating larger shapes, which will come in handy for this project. Next, you'll need to download a few tools. The Oceans Only Survival Data Pack by L. Brandon L., or a similar data pack. This one generates a world only filled with ocean biomes with the occasional small island. It's perfect for what we're doing. Then there's MCA Selector, the cornerstone of this entire project. It's a powerful tool for trimming and managing chunks and regions in Minecraft. Lastly, grab the Vanilla Tweaks Coordinate HUD data pack or any tool that adds a coordinate overlay to your game. This will make navigation much easier while building your worlds. Just make sure all downloads are compatible with version 1.20. Once you've got everything ready, we'll be all set to get started. So it's important to understand this process. We're going to go over how everything works, but first we're going to start by choosing a seed for the world. This is where ChunkBase comes into play, so you can either generate random seeds and see how they look in ChunkBase, or you can use memorable phrases for your seed. For this tutorial, I'm going to use the phrase Ordinary Wonder. After you have chosen a seed, it's important to note the locations of the strongholds. On ChunkBase, deselect all icons except biomes and stronghold to focus on just the strongholds. You're going to hover over each stronghold and pinpoint its center. Then jot down the coordinates. We're going to need them later on in the tutorial. I recommend keeping a notepad open to save all your notes as a README file, which can stay with your world folder for easy reference. Since we're going to create two different worlds using this one seed, keeping these notes handy will save you time and frustration later. Why are we using the same seed? Well, using the same seed for both worlds isn't strictly required, but I do highly recommend it, and here is why. We are going to be cutting and pasting chunks from one world into another, and if both worlds share the same seed, seed-based mechanics like for strongholds are far more likely to work correctly. Okay, next, we need to talk about chunk blending. This is a feature that was introduced in Minecraft 1.18's Caves and Cliffs Update Part 2. It allows the game to seamlessly transition between chunks from older and newer versions. It smooths terrain heights and merges them in naturally, preventing harsh edges or mismatched landscapes between chunks. We're going to take advantage of this mechanic to integrate islands smoothly into the ocean world. So we're going to create two worlds using different versions of Minecraft. It doesn't matter what older versions you are using, but they need to be different from the final world. I'm using version 1.20.1 for the all-ocean world because that is the version the data pack was created for. And I'm going to use version 1.21.4-pre1 for the regular land world because that version is separated far enough from our final version, which will be 1.21.4. This will allow chunk blending to work as intended. Using older and different versions is critical for chunk blending to function properly. Through trial and error, with small test worlds, I found these versions to work well for this project. With all that foundation in place, let's move on to creating the worlds. Future self here. After putting this tutorial together, I realized that I needed to give you all a heads up. This process is going to take you hours of work to make a world that is actually big enough to play on. I recommend following the tutorial, making small sample worlds to start off with so you can practice. This will give you a feel for how it all will come together. Actually, I made tons of sample worlds trying to get it to work. But never mind that. For me, figuring out the process was half the fun of it anyway. So I'll let you get back to the tutorial, but remember, just have fun with it. Alright adventurers, now that we've gotten through all that boring foundation stuff, it's time to create our ocean world. We've got the seed picked out and we know all about chunk blending. For this part, I'll be using the Oceans Only Survival Data Pack by L. Brandon L. But if you want to use something else or skip data packs altogether, you can totally do that. If you're going to go data pack free though, you're going to need to generate your world in Minecraft 1.17, as it's the only version to correctly generate an all-ocean world without data packs. Set it to a single biome and pick your ocean flavor. One of the deep ocean variants is a solid choice, as it gives plenty of space for underwater builds. But the downside? You'll only get one type of ocean biome. So if variety is something you want, then you're going to need to go with the data pack. Oh, and a quick side note, if you try this in anything above 1.17 without a data pack, you're just going to get land masses labeled as ocean biomes that are strewn with shipwrecks and ocean ruins. Mojang, maybe someday you will get that fixed, right? Okay, first things first, set your launcher to 1.20.1 unless you're going the 1.17 route. Choose Creative Mode, Normal Difficulty, and make sure that your cheats are on. And please, name your world something obvious. I called mine Ocean Tutorial 1.20.1 with Data Pack. That way I don't accidentally open it in a wrong version. And trust me, it's a very easy mistake to make. Now, set your seed. This is the one you picked from your seed viewer. Again, mine is Ordinary Wonder. Oh, and leave structures on because sea temples and underwater ruins are half the fun of an ocean world. Next, let's add our data packs. Hit the Open Pack Folder button and toss in the Oceans Only Survival Data Pack and the Coordinates HUD Data Pack. Once they're in, close that folder. Now you're going to see them in the pick list on the left. Move them to the right to activate them. And don't worry if it says they're incompatible. It's just because I'm in 1.20.1 and they're technically for 1.20. It's fine. They're going to work perfectly because there weren't many changes between these versions. If you want to spice things up a bit, you can add more structure-based data packs. Just make sure they're compatible with your version. Make note that later in the process, it will be necessary to remove all data packs because we will be migrating the world to a newer version, and those data packs could corrupt the world or just not work correctly. So, only choose structure-based data packs for now. Once done, go ahead and click the Create World button to generate your world. Warning! These settings are using experimental features. These settings are experimental and could one day stop working. Do you wish to proceed? Well, of course we do, so go ahead and click Yes to generate the world. First, you're going to teleport yourself to the center of the map. Type /TP, your player name, 0640, and press Enter. This will take you to the very center of the map. Next, set the world border to the center, /world border center 00. Then let's pause the sun with the game rule do daylight cycle false. And if you like, set the time to noon by typing /time set noon. And no one likes surprise thunderstorms that create lag, so disable the weather with game rule do weather cycle false. And for good measure, stop fire from spreading with the game rule do fire tick false. Finally, set your border size. I'm starting with 500 blocks. That command is /world border set 500. There is one more command, and that is /trigger space ch_toggle. That's for the Coordinates HUD data pack. That way you'll always know where you are in the game. Now, let's get moving. We're going to generate every single chunk within this border. So, I usually pick a starting corner. I always use the northwest. I fly along the border, keeping it on my left until I end up where I started. Then expand the border further by using /world border add and however many blocks you want to add. I go with 1,000 blocks at a time. If your computer can't handle that, try smaller expansions like 250 or 500 blocks. Experiment to find out what works best for you. Here's an important tip. Set your render and simulation distance in the settings. I keep both at 32 chunks, but I do have a beefy computer. Set them to something appropriate for your system. It's important to generate all chunks within your world border each time you go around. So don't set the border larger than your render and simulation distance is set to. So you're going to keep repeating this process, going around the world border and expanding it until you have reached the desired size of your world. I made my world about 13,000 blocks in diameter. That's about 6,600 blocks from the center. This process will take a while, but it is worth it. Put on a good movie or watch some YouTube while you're at it. I mean, have you seen the Fellowship Island series? Alright, I know that was a shameless plug, but seriously, go watch it. If you can't finish in one session, it's okay. Just remember to save and back up your world before quitting. My practice is to zip it up after every few expansions. It's way too easy to accidentally load it in the wrong version and ruin everything. Trust me, I've learned from my mistakes. When your ocean world is all completed, repeat the same process for your land world using the same seed and the appropriate data packs. Again, I used version 1.21.4-pre1 to generate a normal land map. Both of these worlds will be the foundation for the custom island map. Once both worlds are completed, delete the data packs from their respective folders. Then zip up the worlds to create the final backups. Backing up is simple. Just right-click the folder and choose Compress to or Send to Zip. Most systems have this feature built in, but I use WinRAR, a free tool that you can download. There is a link in the description. If you're not sure where to find the world and data pack folders, the Minecraft launcher makes it easy. Click Options, then Resource Packs, and then Open Pack Folder. From there, click the .minecraft in the directory path to access the saves or data pack folders. So, adventurers, if you've made it this far, congratulations! We're about 2/3 through this journey. Now comes the exciting part, designing the islands themselves. This is the step where it all starts to take shape. For this, we're going to use MCA Selector. This is a tool often employed by server admins to clean up unused chunks on a map. Today, though, we're going to repurpose its use to design custom islands. If this tool is new to you, don't worry. I'll guide you through what you need to know. This isn't a deep dive into MCA Selector, just the essentials to get the job done. If you want to know more about this application, the MCA Selector website has plenty of detailed guides and videos to walk you through everything. Alright, so let's get started. Now, open MCA Selector and navigate to File, Open World to access your World Saves folder. You're going to select the folder for your ocean map and click Select Folder. What you're looking at now is a bird's eye view of your world. It's broken down into chunks and regions. You can use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and notice you can left-click to highlight sections. It's simple enough, but here's something to keep in mind. There is no undo button. Save your selections often so you can backtrack if needed. The highlighted sections are used to copy, paste, or delete sections of the world. To save, go to Selection, Export Selection as .csv, give it a name you'll recognize later. For this selection map, we're going to mark all the ocean monuments and the strongholds. You'll notice right away that there are a ton of ocean monuments. In fact, there are usually about one ocean monument per region. That can feel kind of excessive for a survival world, so we're going to highlight them all for use later. Next, we're going to mark the strongholds using the coordinates you wrote down from ChunkBase. The strongholds will be in a 7x7 chunk area. That makes this a safe zone to highlight. Since both strongholds and monuments can generate in the same locations on both our worlds, this overlay ensures you can preserve or remove them as needed while shaping the islands. Now, let's decide on the shape of your world. A circle? Square? Something more creative? Use minecraftshapes.com to generate the outline you need. There are several options available. I chose a circle, but the choice is yours. Follow the diagram to highlight the shape on your map and save this outline selection as its own file. Then, you're going to fill in the areas outside the border and save that selection under a different name. Now, in MCA Selector, it's time to open up your land map. The goal here is to bring in the selection maps that we just created and start shaping your islands. So go to Selection, Import Selection from .csv, and choose your world outline file. Once that's loaded, do the same with the monument and stronghold selection. When prompted, you're going to select Merge to combine everything into one overlay. Now you've got the world boundary and structure markers all in one view. This combined overlay is your map marking guide. You can see where the final map boundary lies and decide where to position your island strategically. If you want to reduce the number of ocean monuments, overlay an island or two on top of them. And the strongholds, since they generate in the same spots on both the ocean and land maps, you can choose which version to keep. Now comes the fun part, designing your islands. Highlight chunks to form basic shapes of your islands, leaving plenty of space between them for ocean areas. Here is something I discovered. After looking at old server worlds, I realized the average player bases took up around a 32 by 32 chunk area, or one region. This seemed to comfortably fit builds, farms, and other structures. You can use this as a guideline, creating islands anywhere from 5 to 32 chunks wide, give or take a few. Or go big and design sprawling continents that span multiple regions. Those are actually great for community hubs like shopping districts or minigame areas, and don't forget to account for your spawn location while you're at it. For a natural look, try following rivers and coastlines when highlighting chunks, or mix things up with random shapes for variety. If you're feeling creative, throw in some themed islands like a heart, a star, or even a creeper face. It's these little touches that make your world feel really unique. Once you've outlined your islands, fill them in completely so they're solid, and then save this selection. There is one last thing you might want to consider. If you prefer the cave generation from the land world, you might want to include all the oceans from that map in your selection. This is what I chose to do. But either way, save a copy of your land selection map before moving on. All right, we're on the home stretch. Just one more selection map to create. I know, this has been a lot of work, but trust me, the payoff is really worth it. Your friends are going to be blown away by the end result. We're going to work with a copy of the island selection map we just made, so go ahead and save a copy. This next part might seem a little tedious, but trust me, it is necessary. What we're going to do is clear everything except the outer outline of each selected area. That's all you really need to do. But if you want an even smoother transition of your islands into the ocean, you might want to take the time and add an extra outer line. But that part is totally up to you. For this tutorial, and to keep things simple, I'm sticking with just a 1 chunk thickness. To recap, here's a quick progression of what we have accomplished so far. We've created both our ocean and land worlds. We've marked and saved key features like monuments and strongholds. We've created an outline to define our world's boundaries. We've added islands and then included oceans to preserve cave generation. And finally, we've prepared the outline for blending islands into the ocean map. Here's a screenshot of the selection maps that I've created. You should have something very similar. Now, we're going to move on to the next step, merging the two maps together. Let's dive into merging our islands into the ocean world. You're going to start by opening your land map and then load the island selection map on top of it. This selection map is enormous, and copying all the chunks at once might overwork your computer. So to keep things manageable, we're going to break it into quarters. If you need to even use smaller sections, that's fine too, but quarters is what worked fine for me. To do this, open your selection map, and you're going to save it under a new name, like Q1 for quarter 1. Then you're going to do it again 3 more times, saving a copy as Q2, Q3, and Q4. Next, you're going to go into each of these new files and delete the chunks outside their specific quarter. Save each file again, ensuring they only contain the chunks for the respective sections. Now, we're ready to start merging. Open your land map, and then open the first quarter selection map, Q1. Go to the top menu in MCA Selector and copy the chunks from Q1. When that's done, open your ocean map. If a warning pops up about unsaved selections, just click OK. Once the ocean map is loaded, paste the chunks from Q1 into it. Now, you're going to see your selection appear on the map, but it's not going to be aligned perfectly. It needs to be exactly in the same position as the other map. So to fix this, you're going to go back to the menu and choose to paste the chunks again. But don't worry, this time a menu will open. Set the offset to 0, 0. Also, make sure to check mark the box for overwriting existing chunks before clicking OK. This ensures everything lines up exactly as it should. MCA Selector will merge the land chunks into the ocean world. This may take several minutes. Just wait until it's done and let the map reload itself. You will now see the islands in the ocean world. So do the same process for the remaining quarters until all your islands are populated on the map. To check and see if everything is aligned correctly, you can use your full version of the selection map over this one. This may identify errors or misaligned chunks. If something is an error, you can redo the process again using your backup worlds. With the merging done, let's smooth out the jagged edges where the islands meet the ocean. If you zoom in a little, you'll notice the edges aren't exactly seamless. They kind of look rough and blocky. So to fix this, we're going to load the outline selection we made. Then delete the chunks around the edges of each island. When prompted, confirm the deletion. This will leave a clean black outline where the chunks were removed. It's an essential step to make everything come together. Finally, it's time to bring your world into Minecraft. Open your launcher in the version for your final world. Mine again is 1.21.4. But before loading the world, take a moment to clean up the datapack folder if you haven't already. Delete any old datapacks from the ocean world and add the updated Vanilla Tweaks Coordinates HUD datapack. Now, before you launch your world, it's important to optimize it for the new version. Click on Optimize and be sure the box is checked for clearing the cache. Now, the game will update all the chunks to make the world run smoother in the current version. This process does take a while, but again, be patient and let it finish completely. Once your world is all optimized and ready, it's time to load it up. If it brings up the warning screen again, just click I know what I'm doing. Now, it's time for the final flyover of this map. Once the world loads, teleport yourself to the center and set the world border to 500 blocks. Just like before, turn off the daylight cycle, fire tick, and weather just to keep things running smoothly. Then again, fly around the map with the world border on your left until you come all the way around. Then expand the border and repeat the process, just like before, allowing every chunk to load. This step is where the magic happens. As you fly, the islands and the oceans blend together seamlessly. It is so satisfying to see how the islands take shape. Some have dramatic cliffs with exposed caves, while others form tiny archipelagos. The smoothing process only works within one chunk, so you might notice some areas look a little rougher than others. You may even spot the occasional oddity like a tree cut in half or a strange water cliff, but that's just part of the charm and it can't be avoided. Anomalies are interesting, and it just adds character to your world. Enjoy flying over your beautifully merged world, and take a moment to appreciate the work you've put into creating something truly unique. All right, this is it, the very final step. We're about to wrap up this world, give it a perfect shape, and place it into the void, or another setting if you so choose. I hope you're as excited as I am because we're about to cross this finish line together. I've got my finished world loaded up, and for clarity, I made a copy and renamed it to indicate it as such. Now, I want to show you something. During my final flyover, I extended the north side of my map just to show you what happens beyond the original world border. With the ocean's only data pack removed, land now generates where it technically shouldn't. But this is not normal land though. Like I showed you earlier in the tutorial, Ocean World generated in any version later than 1.17 forms land masses that generate ocean ruins and shipwrecks on top of it. And that is what is happening here. It's weird, and honestly it is kind of interesting. Maybe you like the look of that and want to keep it, and that's fine. Maybe you want to clean up the shape of your world first though, just so your map looks nice and clean when those outer chunks regenerate. First, let's get rid of those outer chunks and clean things up to match the shape we picked out way back at the start. For me, again, it is a circle. Maybe you chose a square or something totally different. Either way, it is your world. For the trimming, I'm opening the selection map we made earlier. Mine's called Circle with Deletion. I'm editing mine slightly to include the extended land areas that I formed for the demonstration. Now, go to Selection, Delete Selection, and once that's done, congratulations! You've got a perfectly shaped world. So far, it's looking good, right? Now, you need to decide how you want to finish your world. On the Fellowship Island server, we've made our world float in the void. It's got this flat Earth vibe. If you travel to the edge and jump off, you plummet into nothingness. Well, not really. Instead, you float down into a resource world. At least that's how it feels in game. What's really happening is you're teleported, some effects are applied, and then you float down to a separate world that is regenerated once a week for resource gathering. It's a great solution for an island map where resources could run out, especially on a big server. If you're interested in how we set up that resource world, let me know in the comments and I might do a tutorial on it. For now, I'm going to show you how to put this world into the void and give you a few other choices too. Open your Minecraft launcher and make sure the version matches your final world. Again, for me, that is 1.21.4. Once you're done, create a new world. And don't worry, there are no flyovers with this one. Go ahead and rename it. Now we're going to do things a little differently here, so pay attention. Set it to survival, pick your difficulty. I set mine on hard mode, and leave commands off. Simple so far, right? In the World tab, select a super flat world and then click on Customize. Go to the presets and choose the Void and click on Use Preset. You'll see the layer material change to air with a height top of 1, and that is exactly what we want. Don't forget to set your seed. I'm still using Ordinary Wonder, and if you want to keep structures, you can, but either way, I don't think it makes a difference here. I know some of you are asking, is there another choice? I don't want a void world. And the answer is yes. If you want to go that route, you're going to need to leave your world on default. Or on the flip side, choose any single biome in place of the void. With those options, you will get land formations when you travel outside the boundary of your ocean. However, I like the idea of a void disk world floating in space, so that is what I'm going with. When you spawn in your new world, you'll be on a tiny stone square, or a small terrain area depending on what you chose. Allow the surrounding chunks to load around you and then go ahead and just log out. And we're done. Easy peasy. Let's take a look at it in MCA Selector. You'll see a square stone platform or the small terrain area depending on what you chose. Next, open your final island world and copy a section of it. Since this will be a lot of terrain to copy and paste, I'm going to copy and paste smaller areas at a time. Once you've copied a section, paste it into the new world you just made, just like you did for the islands. Make sure to set the offset to 0, 0 and check the Overwrite Chunks box. Then repeat the process until your entire world is sitting beautifully in its new home. And just like that, you're done. Can you believe it? It's time to sit back and relax a bit. You have earned it. You've created an island world ready for adventures, exploration, and all the stories you're going to tell. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I want to hear about your island world designs and ideas. What did you create with this process? Anything unique? Your comments will keep me motivated to do more tutorials like this one. And believe me, I have a few other crazy ideas in my head I'd love to share. Adventures out there, go live it. See you next time.